welcome to mind control. Now, this area on this entire quest is my absolute favorite, and the reason why it is my favorite is because I have had to go through massive amounts of training my mind to go and ignite my own self-revolution to pull me out of probably the darkest times in my life. And during that time, some things don't feel achievable, or things just feel really dark and gloomy, and you start to lose pieces of yourself, and you ultimately just start to lose hope. So I wanted to share that little bit there because I know we all are human and we all have to experience these things. And for some of us, it's a little bit harder to go through processes. Some are more severe and traumatic, and some go through processes that aren't so severe and traumatic. But we all have the common humanity of knowing that we go through hardships, and I believe the mind is the number one tool and weapon and muscle we need to use in order not only to overcome those obstacles, but the mind is what is going to get us as humanity to level up. And it starts with an individual so that it can expand collectively. So there's two big points specifically for me that I focus on with mind control. And one principle that changed my entire perspective on everything was that the game of life is all mental. And going back all the way through the beginning of this quest, I discuss how a desire begins with a thought. And if you're into manifestation work, right, it's all about you need to think about the one thing, or you need to think about what you want so you attract it. Now, this is a deep rabbit hole, and this gets us into consciousness, and it gets us into all of these different dynamics and really closed doors of the mind. But it's our journey and it's our duty to go open these doors and explore our own internal universe so that we can understand ourselves better. And it takes leaps and leaps and leaps and leaps of effort to kind of understand ourselves. And it's a very tough, challenging process, but at the end of the day, it becomes one of the most rewarding things that you can do. So that number one thing, that the game of life is all mental, and is all based on thought, is a fundamental principle I want you to operate from. You can apply this to any situation that you're in. Let's say that you are thinking negative about someone, right? The negative thoughts are going to internalize, then push out externally, and have you paint an image on someone because you're thinking of that way. Now, you could literally in one moment flip the switch and say, actually, I'm going to think the exact opposite of this one person. Maybe they were negative thoughts, and I'm going to go to positive thoughts. And you'll notice you're going to start looking at, well, what are all the positive attributes of this person? What are all the things I do like about this person? And you'll start to see that your image of this person changes. So this is the whole principle. Very simple, maybe not the best example, but it's a very simple example to give us the idea of seeing how your thoughts can change your perception or allow you to put on a different lens, right? So the second part of mind control, and something that I am personally focusing on a ton, is climbing the levels of consciousness. And there's multiple levels of consciousness, and for what I can grasp and understand, I'm working into a model of 4 levels, and I guarantee there's a ton more. And that's okay because I'm not at that level yet. But just know with consciousness expansion and getting to new levels, what's really cool about this is that with your consciousness, once you expand it, it can't retract. Now, if someone goes through a massive consciousness expansion, it may seem as a dark time, negative time. It just may be very overwhelming because you've opened yourself up to a lot more universal space, call it, right? So if you get to that point, just know, or you feel overwhelmed with information or realizations, right? Or paradigm shifts, anything like that, that you can retract back down to certain levels, but you will always stay into that expansion. So really it's just to give you the tools to be able to handle it, right? So the whole goal for us to be human beings, and this would be my belief and my philosophy, is that we are trying to continually climb the levels of consciousness. And if you look at some studies or people that are in the consciousness space, most of us operate at a level 1. And I'm looking at this as a level of 4s, and I believe you can go to 7, 5, 8, 10, 12, Depends who's teaching the concepts. But if you think about that, if we're all at level 1, which is this very low vibrating level of consciousness where a lot of fears instilled into us, a lot of everything is happening to us, you could see that and look around, or maybe even reflect for yourself that you may exist in this level. And the goal is to get you from level 1 to level 2. Now, level 2 is a massive shift. And then from 2 to 3, it's just game changer. And I'm not standing here saying that I've gotten to 2 and 3 and I'm at 4. I would say realistically, I've probably been in 2 and I can nibble on 3, but I predominantly sit in 2. But it is this goal and allows me to see a hierarchy of levels and basically my own leaderboard, if you can call it that I am continually trying to climb the ladder.